Hello. Hi.
Hello.
It's me. This is NiCO.
Yeah.
Wow.
In South Pasadena, California.
Amazing.
Beautiful California.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it still.
Now for us it's night. If I do the same thing, you can say nothing.
It's dark.
Yeah, it's dark. Yeah. Pretty much.
So, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. My name is Francesco. Thank you so much for being here. It's a big pleasure. You are a big person of cinema, I think. And so thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And hi, my name is Davide, and it's a very big pleasure to have you with us. And if I can, I start with the first question.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, how did your passion for the movie start?
Well, it's always been there since I watched television. You know, in the old days, there was only 2 channels. So I was always looking for movies to watch. I remember that. Hitchcock, you know, Westerns. That was usually on television. And then when I became older, I started collecting films, actually. Sell-through video didn't exist yet. So at that time, you had to go to a rental store for VHS. And if you asked the guy nicely, you had a good relationship with the guy in the video store, and they would actually sell you the tapes. And that was, you know, how I started collecting. And the cool thing about Holland is that everything was uncut.
Yeah.
So that was very popular with people in other countries. So pretty soon I had, like, you know, friends I would swap tapes with. I would get films from their countries and, you know, films I couldn't find, like Salo or whatever you can think of, you know. And I was very young. I was like 15, 16, 17 or something. And then later on, I was actually at the Academy of Fine Arts studying film program. And but a teacher who saw my first film, she was pretty well known. She told me, you know, she was friends with Andy Warhol and all these different people in New York, Abel Ferrara, etc. And she told me that the films I want to make, nobody's going to give me the money for. So she basically said, you better find a profession and then make your films. Well, I was already a music distributor at the time. I was distributing bands like Death in June, you know, a Friends label as well. And then, but then the CD market kind of collapsed, vinyl and CD, because of illegal downloading. Sales went down, record stores started closing. And my first love, beside music, was always cinema, collecting and stuff. And I knew pretty quickly that people were looking like me for films on tape, original, if possible, best quality at that time. You know, to find films which they love, you know. And so they would, pretty soon, I came up with the idea, cold video was my idea, to start selling through a catalog, mail order catalog, uncut films, which was in Holland the case, of, you know, horror films, you know, anything you can think of, erotica, you know, cool movies, provocative movies people want to see again. And at that time, sell-through didn't exist because people thought nobody would be interested in seeing a movie more than twice. And I said, you're wrong. This, you know, I watched movies like 20 times, you know, there's so much film. It's like art. You can look at it forever, you know. And so I started this whole thing, and pretty soon I start releasing films theatrically as well, and video. The first ones were Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, Cannibal Holocaust, Tokyo Decadence, and All Ladies Do It. These were my first releases in the early 90s.
Amazing. And so it's your life is to release movies that people maybe want to watch. Why? Why you say Yeah, why?
Well, you never know. I sometimes now discovering my inheritance is I'm being Dutch, right? I'm Dutch, right? And releasing like Dutch movies.
Yeah,
And I've been doing recently. I did not know people were interested, but all I knew, these movies are amazing,
yeah,
provocative, interesting. They don't make movies like that anymore. The films done in Europe in the 70s, 80s, you know, even early 90s were great. And that cinema doesn't exist anymore, the same as in Italy, France, and wherever these movies were made. And so I started discovering, and I didn't know, 3 years ago, I didn't know that people were interested in Dutch cinema. So I made a collection of 4 films. It's called the Dutch Sex Wave, which was actually true. In the 70s in Holland, nobody was going to the cinema to watch a Dutch movie. That was not interesting. But then somebody put one nude scene in a film. I think it was called Mira by Fons Rademakers.
Mhm.
And suddenly everybody wanted to see this famous actress nude. And that was the key. Then producers start making movies, and Paul Verhoeven started making his first movies.
Yeah.
Pim de la Parra, Nuska van Brakel, and there was always a scene of nudity in there, and that got people to the cinema in some reason. I mean, the scripts were good too, but I think that was called the Dutch sex wave.
Yeah.
And I think that same thing was happening in other countries too. Italy, France, America, and that's and now if you look at these movies, they're amazing scripts and stories told, and erotica. They don't make them like that anymore, and also because of the whole political situation in cinema right now.
Yeah, it's amazing because like you said, they're not making it anymore, that kind of movie. So it's important to preserve and watch it, because there are a generation, maybe younger like me, that can't watch that kind of movie at the cinema. So it's a big and precious occasion to watch with your release or on internet or anywhere. So it's preserve cinema is always the great, the best, the amazing. So thank you, big work.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 33 years. I've been releasing films.
Yeah, amazing.
We see how long, and now with the new 4K UHD, it's like having your own cinema at home.
Yeah.
The quality is amazing.
Wow. Okay, and why did you decide to open a videotheque?
Well, at that time, the only videotheque were there was like, I don't know, Videoland or something was called, and I basically had my mail order. It was in a bookstore at the time called Sine Qua Non, a film bookstore. I asked the guy, can I have a closet here with my VHS tapes? I sell mail order. And yes, pretty soon he was telling me he was making more money on my VHS tapes daily than on his old books and posters.
Amazing.
And then I knew, people from all over Europe were coming to my store, to get the video nasties, you couldn't get in England. And I got to know Jörg Butger at that time, and they had a hard time selling films like Necromantic. And I said, well, how about I distribute them? So I would get them in Holland and then sell them back to Germany because that was legal, but they couldn't sell it even in their own country because these films were banned, their own films, And that mail order became very popular. And then I decided to do my own store, not only sell through, but also rental, and have a store where you can watch movies by country, by director. It's like a library.
Yeah.
And instead of the usual genre, horror, comedy, action, it wasn't like that. And it was just an idea, and it started developing. Pretty soon there were several cult videotheks, franchised in Holland, because people from all the cities in Holland would come rent tapes from me, you know, and then bring them back. And so people started, you know, franchising my concept later on. And now they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, now they're all closed. But it's coming back slowly. I live in a small town, South Pasadena, and there's a videothek. It's called the same, videothek, except the word cult is missing. And it has the same concept, you know, country, by director, by actress or actor. And it's a great store. And now there's opening a couple more suddenly. That one been around for a while and it never closed.
Yeah.
And, you know, so maybe there's hope.
Yeah. And taking that talk, you think that is better now or then with the videothek and the home video? You think that is better now that almost digital and home video, and there are almost nothing videothek? Like in Italy, I think that there are not many. I think 4 or 5 maybe, but I don't know. And what do you think is better now or then?
Well, I always live now. I don't live in the past.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you know, we had to close the store too because suddenly people were watching movies, like you said, digitally.
Yeah.
But now you can see actually that digital and maybe video store is not what's going to last. But what is going to last is that Blu-ray, that DVD, that VHS, because I license the right for a certain period of time. The rights run out, so then it disappears. And the only physical or whatever evidence of this film is actually the Blu-ray or DVD. So if you don't buy it, you can't see the movie again, probably in 5 years.
And you think that maybe in 5, 10 years, there is people like you and that maybe open a big archive with all these movies that maybe become unwatchable for the question of time, because the film, if you don't restore it, if you don't keep it, it deteriorates. So do you think maybe in 10 years we are more accessible movie than now?
No.
No.
Honestly, I don't think there are going to be stores more or less, but that physical copy will exist and you will be able to find it, you know, and that's the whole purpose. I release films, and there's many other labels who release films and, you know, release them in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And that's history.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Is this complicated to release and restore a movie?
It can be. I mean, I wanted many films from the beginning, and many films I was never able to release. That was either because I couldn't find the licensing company who owned the rights, or there was no materials available, like a print. Now you need a print to do a HD transfer, whether it's a negative or a positive or interpositive, it doesn't matter. You need that print for the high definition quality. If that doesn't exist, then yeah, there's many films on my list I was never able to put together in that way.
And you think that maybe in a future you can try to find out or maybe release it?
Well, things always change, but you don't know how long it can take. It can take 5 years, it can take 50 years. You don't know.
Yeah.
Suddenly, maybe something pops up. Like a big example is In a Glass Cage by Augusti Villarango, one of my favorite films. And that film, it took me 10 years to get the rights and to get a decent enough standard definition transfer for DVD. And it took another 7 years to get a high definition transfer and renew the rights. I had to renew the rights, obviously. And that was also because, for instance, that film was so controversial that the Spanish government kept the negative in their possession and they would only let it out for certain purposes. So when it was released at one time, we were able to strike an HD transfer of it. Sadly, not in 4K. So if we want to do a 4K UHD of that, we have to wait again.
Yeah. And which is the edition that you are more proud of in the home video? Which is that one? Is a miracle that is printing that DVD, that Blu-ray, that
every one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, quality is a perception. So the way we looked at VHS was different than the way we're looking at DVD. Absolutely. And the way we're looking now, our eyes get trained to see, digital, Blu-ray, DVD. Same with sound.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it always gets better with sound. Vinyl was the best. But with 4K UHD now, it can be the best, but it could also be the worst. I've seen films which are not intended to be for 4K UHD because you see every mistake made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what do you think about the process of the restoration? What are you a part of that?
I am, but like you are Italian, and Italians are very particular.
Yeah.
But I got my first trans test for All Ladies Do It. I asked them specifically, send me a test before you proceed. They sent me the test, and I noticed things right away. And I pointed things out to them. You need to fix these things, before you proceed. Yeah. So I'm part of it because I want to make sure they respect the original aspect ratio as intended by the director when he shot the film, so we can see the full picture the director intended it to be seen in. Yeah.
A lot of work. Yeah.
And then all the extras, that's a whole other thing, is to produce the commentaries, the
interview,
the booklets, whatever people want, Yeah. That's a whole, yes. It usually takes me 6 months to a year to produce one title. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. See, definitely a big work has to do it on a one title. So pretty amazing. Yeah.
To do it right, you need to take the time.
Yeah.
And was it difficult to start your business?
No. I mean, it was sad that I couldn't be a filmmaker then.
Yeah.
But my teacher is still one of my best friends in Holland. And actually, I released one of her films later on, Yeah. It was called Kiss Napoleon Goodbye, with Henry Rollins, his first acting role, and the singer Lydia Lunz. Yeah.
Yeah.
He directed by Beth. But no, I already had like I said, I had a business in music. But like I also said, music, the business changed. But what's important is you follow your passion. That's what I always did. Whatever I do it from passion, not for money. I never did it for money. Yeah. I could have been rich in my 20s, but I didn't care about money.
Yeah.
And I still only release what I want to release. I don't follow trends. I kind of create trends most of the time. Things would become popular, people never thought about.
So talking about your directorial part of your life. Tell us something about this, your filmography, your work.
Well, it still is. My first film, Pig, was with a close friend of mine who sadly died after I edited the film. He hanged himself. He was a rock musician. We used to tour in Italy, actually, with Christian Dead. The band was called Christian Dead. His name was Ross Williams. And yeah, he decided to end his life at 34. He's still part of my work. Sometimes I just released a book on him.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a documentary now on him, actually, because I recently interviewed about 23 people for this documentary, which I'm working on. And then also I'm working on 2 new films. One is called Ghost. It's about Scriabin's Ghost, the composer. And the other film is called Tiki Island. I've been working on with my girlfriend, who is Filipino. She's a famed writer there.
Yeah.
She
Amazing.
wrote a book, and we're going to start the screenplay soon. And I'll be shooting that in the Philippines, actually.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, more exotic country and exotic film.
Yeah. So you are an editor, a director, a writer, something more. You are literally everything. You done everything in your life, and
Well,
it's amazing.
No, I haven't, because when I went to the Academy of Arts, I wanted to be a painter. So one day, maybe one day, but being a painter, can't pay your bills, I think. But now, important is me as a publisher,
Yeah.
The publisher, the thing you wanted to talk about was Tinto Brass, I believe, originally when we start chatting.
Yeah. Let's talking about this project. Yeah, it's amazing. It's your last project. Is a big project, and it's talking about Italy, no? Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's amazing for us. Yeah, a director that maybe is not talking about in not so much in Italy, but is still important. Is part of our history and in general the history of cinema. So it's a big honor. Let's talk about this.
Yes, go ahead. I'm getting some tea.
Yeah. Don't worry. And so, talk about this project. It's a campaign on Indiegogo, and it's going very good. There are a couple of people that work in, I think, and yeah, it's amazing, no?
Yeah. Well, I've done a few books now through Indiegogo, and I like it.
Yeah.
Again, it's not about the money. It hardly pays the production eventually.
Yeah.
But what it does, it gets people together to get excited about something. And you cannot get it always in the press like that.
Yeah.
You get really the fans, the first core fans, to know about it. And that's why I like things like that. And I've been successful with every one of my campaigns except the first one. I had to figure out how to do it, but now I know. It's books. Books is something, you can look at so many times, and they don't make many interesting film books anymore. They used to make so many, and to find information, all the films I love, I would read about first, because I couldn't even find a movie.
Yeah.
With Tinto too, he made so many movies and so many different films. He, was an avant-gardist, and then in half of his career, he became an erotic filmmaker.
Yeah.
And he became a master at it. He knew how to do it. Like any penthouse Playboy movies don't stand up to what he's doing.
Yeah.
It has real content and philosophy, and it's sexy.
Yeah. And you release a book, right? And
yes, so I've been working on this book for 20 years. Originally, I wanted to release it through Fab Press when I was in Europe still, and they never put it out. They always said next year. So eventually I took it back and started rewriting it this last year with a writer. And yeah, it turned out great. I mean, literally we're dedicating, 15, 20 pages to his most important films he made.
Yeah.
Especially his art films. There will be plenty of sexy and nude pictures, etc. But I think a lot of people don't know his beginning career.
Yeah.
And for that, we've been also collecting a lot of artwork, which I will share with you. I think
thank you.
There's a lot, and rare stuff nobody's seen before, and all promotional materials. Probably for the first time in print. Yeah, for sure. And
big release. It's amazing. Yeah, because even here in Italy, that is the country where made that movie, there are still unwatchable. There is no way to watch it legally, and
okay,
yeah, legally.
Well, and you copies for yourself, and that's how I used to do it.
Yeah.
Swap with your friends, and hey, I have this one. I have Follow. Do you have Monella?
Exactly. Yeah, like that. Because the first period is in Italy. There are no DVDs, no copy, nothing. So it's difficult to watch. For example, Dropout. And other movies, it's still difficult.
Well, yeah, but even here, those are difficult. Obviously, his erotic films here finally found an audience. I released in America, I think it was 2001 or something, or 2005, I released The Key. Didn't do very well. Miranda didn't do very well. All Ladies Do It did amazing. Then I knew what people wanted here. Although the other movies I think are more erotic, but people like sex. And Frivolous Lola, Cheeky, all of them did extremely well in America. They found its audience, and and the good thing is for anybody in Italy, they're region free, so you could find them on Amazon.com or wherever, eBay. And watch them because they have no region. I didn't region coded them, or my lab didn't. So anybody in the world can watch them.
Yeah, we can play on our Blu-ray player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now the beauty with 4K UHD, it doesn't have region coding at all.
Yeah.
At all. Not so. That format is the future, obviously, but again, not for all movies, but for certain ones. Yes.
Yeah. And do you think, talking about physical media, do you think that the fight with the digital release, like streaming application, Netflix and other stuff, there is a fight over physical media? Do you think that in future?
No.
Yeah.
It's already made clear in America now. Physical media audience is a different audience than the digital audience.
Yeah.
Digital is more wider, and the digital audience can actually promote the physical, because if 100,000 people can watch the movie, that's great. Then maybe 10%, 10,000 will buy a Blu-ray because they love the movie, right? It's like you go to the cinema and you love the movie, you go buy it on DVD or Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's a promotion. To me, digital is the same as theatrical. It promotes the film. And so it's not a war against each other. It's distributors didn't see that for a long time. Obviously, the theatrical distributor wants to make as much money as possible. There is such a war. But the audience is there both ways, and that's how it works.
Yeah, because certain movie, like you said, certain type of movie, there is only that space, physical media, like yours, then it can exist to put your movies, I think, on a streaming platform. So, like you said, everyone is a little spot to navigate, right?
Well, like I said, digital doesn't last. So as soon as my rights expire, it will not be available digital anymore. And the same with other labels. So the only way for you to watch that movie again in 10 years, or anybody discovering it in 10 years, is actually that physical copy, unless they downloaded the digital and stream it legally. There's a lot of illegal stuff going on.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, Tinto Brass in America, I cannot put it up anywhere digital unless it's a private or an adult channel. Amazon won't take it. We had it up on Tubi, PO Box Tinto Brass, for 3 months. It was amazing. They literally had 100,000 of views, 100,000. People loved his. And, you know, I see the check and I'm like, what? It makes as much money as 30 movies, you know, I put up on Tubi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's crazy. It's like so popular. And then they took it down.
In Italy, there are, I think, 5 or 4 movies by Tinto Brass on Prime Video.
Oh, okay, well, that's great.
Yeah, and I think that then shut down nothing. There are there. So good.
Yeah, Prime is a little easier, but even for me, I cannot get it up on Amazon Prime in the US. It won't allow me unless I do it through a provider like an art house provider like Mubi, whoever is on Amazon Prime, and then you have to become a member of that channel. Then they won't take it down.
They release it. Yeah.
But indirect digital programming. But again, these rights expire, and it won't. The next generation won't be able to see it unless it gets re-licensed.
Yeah.
For digital, which often not the case.
Yeah. And about your edition, it's talking about the extras. I think that cinema appassionate and cinema lover love it. Extra booklet and things like that. Told me about when you realized that kind of stuff for every edition. What did you do? Where did you research the information? If you do interview, if you do commentary, if you have someone that maybe made it, that kind of stuff. Tell me something about that.
Well, I do a lot of it myself. I just research, obviously, to see what is there in the archives. So what old interviews are there, especially like in Holland, I have access to. I research that, and then we'll find that stuff. And then, you know, booklet, not always. I don't always do booklets. It doesn't make sense. Releases. But I like audio commentaries by experts, you know, because there's a story to be told of the history of the film. The best is always the director. I was able to get Tinto, you know, 25 years ago, to do an audio commentary for The Howl and for Deadly Sweet, which you know, and that was great. And but now we're gonna ask him, but I think he's too old now. He's 90, and he may not be available for that. I don't know. We'll try it. Otherwise, you know, I have an Italian journalist, you know, commentator, who speaks perfect English, who's going to do the audio commentary. And maybe for all ladies do it, maybe with the actor, because the actress, Claudia Cole, denounced the film, as far as I heard. But maybe with Rivers Lola, Anna, maybe she's still available, if she speaks good enough English, to do it with him, you know? So things like that. it's a process. You see what's available and what's not available, then we see what we can produce with the director. Like my new release, Amnesia, it's a Dutch film, very good film by director of Brimstone and Winter in Wartime. These were his first films with Carice van Houten, her debut.
Yeah.
Who later became a star because of Black Book, Paul Verhoeven's, and as well for Game of Thrones, you know.
Yeah.
The
Great
lady
actress.
with red hair, yeah. And so these are her first films. She was very young, very cute, and yeah, there you can already see she would become who she is now. Yeah.
Amazing.
So then we produce interviews, you know, on location. We did an interview with her and the director in Amsterdam 6 months ago, and that I produced stuff like that. If I think it's important, then we'll do ourselves our own productions.
Yeah. You think that it's important to provide some kind of a package of extra with your release?
Yeah, I don't want it to be a formula necessarily. So I always try to reinvent. So it's with Arrow, they always do the same. Edition 3000, body commentary,
exactly.
lobby cards, you know, many extras as possible. No, for me, it has to be more organic. It depends on the release to me. Not everyone is the same. I have movies, doesn't have that many extras, also because nobody even knows the film. So I want them to discover the film actually first, like The Cool Lakes of Death, one of my favorite Dutch films. Nobody in America knew. And some people discovered these films, like the filmmaker Son Baker, and he actually promoted it on his social media, and then everybody got to know about the films by the director Noeske van Brakel, who was the first female director kind of in Holland at you know, in those days.
Amazing. Yeah, it's the importance of the discovery of research. I think that even research a movie that maybe not so many people watch, but the joy to discover a movie. So it's important. Yeah, it's beautiful because you discover another part of an art that maybe you and other 6 people watch it. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So talking about your meetings and things, you told me about a lot of anecdotes that happen in your videotheque in Amsterdam. Tell me something about it. Yeah.
Well, you know, many directors, rock stars would come to the store because they, you know, filmmakers, because they heard about it. And, you know, I remember Michael Jackson coming and, you know, renting some Asian action movies I brought from Hong Kong. But also, you know, renting boys in bathhouses or something. Bathhouse films, art films, but with young boys. So then you kind of get the idea. But yeah, there was always something going on, you know, in those days.
Yeah.
Also, Tarantino was a frequent member, and people still talk about it. I actually just posted on my social media in a newspaper yesterday because he's doing a tour of his cult movies or trash movies or whatever you call it, movies he grew up with or whatever you call these movies. He did a book on that, and I actually have a copy of it. But you know, he does a tour now and plays in theaters, you know, as a show, kind of talking about the movies he loved, you know, when he grew up. And he, in an article today in a main newspaper in Holland, he actually mentioned the cult videotheque and that he stole a couple of films and stuff.
Stole.
It worked, yeah. One was she's set the Nora. What's that movie called? I always forget the title. And another one was a Italian crime movie with Alain Delon. I forgot the title too.
Amazing. Yeah.
Also,
Even him is a big lover of cinema.
Yeah.
So it's
So he's even he does a great job. He made some amazing films, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you can't find the movie, steal it. If you can't afford it, steal it.
yeah, it's the motto. There is something new project incoming other than Tinto Brass big release. Something you want to talk about it?
Somebody's been on my mind for a long time. Has been Ornella Muti.
Oh.
Probably one of the most beautiful Italian women in the world, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of my next projects. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Big preview. Thank you so much, really.
Thank you. Bring on there.
Yeah, big pleasure. We can wait to see restoration or home video or DVD or new book that you printing and release it.
Save the movie always.
Yeah, save the movie always. It's a big job, big important job. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll send you a copy of my called Epics book. I did a book on all the releases I did for 25 years. I mean, now it's 33 years, but it's not updated. But I'll send you a digital copy.
Thank you.
And you can use that if you like.
Yeah. Thank you so much, really.
All right.
Big thing.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.